You get always in life exactly what you tolerate. If you tolerate being disrespected, you'll always be disrespected. If you tolerate being overworked and underpaid, you will always be overworked and underpaid. So the standards you set for yourself determine your life and your future.
And so if there's anything better than discipline, it is standards. When you set those standards high and you set those expectations of those standards for yourself and the people around you high, and you make all the hiring and firing decisions, then you become the catalyst to raise the bar, raise the standards, raise the expectations for everyone around you. Now everyone looks at you with respect. Everyone looks at you as a leader and no longer as a liability.
If you want to live your best life, if you want to own your game in your industry, if you want to live a life that makes history, raise your standards.
Raise your standards. One of the most damaging things that any human can do is set low standards and then achieve those standards, right? You can't set average or mediocre as a standard because everyone else around you is blue collar and therefore you're going to be blue collar and then go, yay, I became blue collar. Like if you have ambitions of being white collar or you have ambitions of being a baller, you have ambitions of being whatever the f you want to be, go for that and surround yourself with people who are that and raise your standards.
You have to define what your standards are that you want to raise. Pick 2 or 3 areas of your life that you want to be improved on. Maybe it's health, maybe it's income, maybe it's relationships, I don't know, but what are you currently tolerating that isn't serving you well?
I think the biggest factor in your choice to live the life that you want to live is something called your standard. And the only thing that is going to make your life really change is when you say, I'm going to raise my standards.
In life, most of us have been told that we can just be okay if we're average and we accept mediocrity. Just the lowest standard of expectations for ourselves. There's many factors that determine standards. Like this, the people in your circle of influence, the people around you determine your standards. If the person to your left and to your right is unkept and unclean, soon you will become unkept and unclean. You know that, right? That's why we hear this all the time. You are the byproduct of the 5 people that you hang out with the most.
You have standards about the kind of income that you earn and what is okay and what isn't okay. You have standards about the type of living that you're okay with. Are you okay with roommates or do you want to live alone? Are you okay with having the kind of car that you have? Are you okay with having a car or are you okay with not having one? What kind of lifestyle you have is defined by a series of standards that you have put in your mind and you've probably never consciously thought about. But standards are the thing that separate you from having the life that you want and the life that you have.
The only thing that will change your life, change your business, or change your relationship is that you must raise your standards. And that includes getting rid of those people in your life who bring you down. It's about trying to find your tribe, those people who will lift you up, will drag you forward when you're having an off day, and will help you learn from failures or challenges or errors that you've made. But it is all about those standards and what you're willing to tolerate in that inner circle. Because, like we say, the people who you spend the majority of your time with, you're going to start to be like and reflect.
Raise your standards of how you live. Raise your standards to world class in terms of the work you do. Raise your standards in terms of your conversations. Raise your standards in terms of the friends you have. Raise the standards to world class in terms of the food you eat. Raise your standards in terms of your daily rituals, because genius is less about inherited genetics and much more about your installed habits. Raise your standards about your beliefs. Raise your standards about the way you interact with your customers. Go the extra mile. Every moment in front of a customer is a moment of truth. You can stand for the highest of values, or you can just be average like so many performers out there. So I really want you to dial into, are you living at a level that is world class in terms of the standards right across the board.
If you identify yourself in a new way and you own that every day, and that becomes the standard of how you live, you'll find the way to make that standard real. Money's the same way. Think about it. It doesn't matter what's happening, quote unquote, in the marketplace. People that make money find a way to make money no matter what, don't they? I mean, most people's standard is to pay their bills. So that's what most people find a way to do, even when economic times get tough. Most people, if that's their absolute standard, they find a way. Some people's standard is pay their bills most of the time. And so most of the time they do. Some people's standard is not just to pay their bills, but to take care of their family and maybe even some of their friends. And they find a way.
When you raise your standards, the audience gets very small. Your relationships get very small. They don't get bigger. But I'm gonna tell you what happens here. The people that get into this relationship are also people with higher standards. The low standards and the ones with no standards can't stand people with high standards. But fortunately, the world is ran with people with high standards. And no matter how much the low standard or no standard people say about you, the proof is always in the pudding, baby.
We become our standards in many ways. If you are surrounded by B players or average performers, and that is your standard, then your mindset will operate at the standard that is offered to you by the people around you. I mean, we do become our social orbit. And if you are at a standard internally that I want to be a game changer in my field, I want to be BIW, the best there ever was, I want to be the Van Gogh and the Rembrandt of technology or whatever field you play in, then your behavior always matches your internal identity and your inner standards. So your standards are important, your standards for your friendships, your standards for the quality of the work you do, the standards of your languaging, the standards of the nutrition you put into your body, the standards of your love life, the standards of your mindset, the standards of the way you occur in the world.
When your cup overflows because you set high standards and you achieve those high standards, and guess what? You can do more, you can be more, you can help more. And isn't that really the meaning of life, to be in service of others? It absolutely is. So moving forward, set higher standards in your fitness, in your ability to orate, to speak, in your ability to communicate, in your ability to be decisive, in your ability to be a better husband, an ability to be a better father, better friend, better entrepreneur, better leader. Enough with setting low standards and hitting those standards and being proud of yourself. Like, man, let's get to it.
Whatever people have their identity attached to, they live. We live who we believe we are. That's just how it works. It's just kind of like, I'll give you an example. Look at your physical body. Your physical body today is an absolute reflection of only one thing. Not your goals, not your desires, but your standards. The identity you have for yourself. If your standard is you're an athlete, then there's a certain amount of strength, a muscle tone, and energy that's available in your body on a regular basis because that's who you are. And so you do whatever's necessary to maintain that identity. Again, the strongest force in the human personality is this need to stay consistent with how we define ourselves. Because if you don't know who you are, you wouldn't know how to act. Once you lock in on that identity, your brain finds a way to keep you there. If you say, man, I'm overweight, I've always been overweight, I'm big boned, and that's the story you got, then you're gonna always find a way to get back there. That's your settling point. That's your identity. That's where things lock in.
The people you surround yourself with have a lot to do with the vibration you're in. You want to be consciously aware of the energy in the environment you're in. It's very important. And you want to stay in a very good vibration. When you're in a good vibration, good ideas flow into your mind. You'll see a better way of doing whatever you're doing. You'll improve whatever you're doing. And that's really what you want. You want to get magnificent results. Make good things happen. Control your vibration. Control the flow. There's an energy flowing to and through you. And when it flows into your consciousness, it has no form. Our thinking gives it form. And as we internalize it, it controls the vibration the body's in. Keep the body in a good vibration, and you're going to be working the way you want to work, doing the things you want to do. Keep yourself in a high vibration.
Those who are a perfectionist, they are waiting and waiting for everything to line up.
high standard has nothing to do with being a perfectionist. See, the truth is, most perfectionists, they're using that as an excuse. They're using that as a way not to take action. They're using that as a way to don't want to fail, don't want to look bad, don't want to look foolish, instead of taking action. So they all want to make it all perfect. No, you don't want to make it all perfect. You don't want to do anything because you don't want to fail. That's the problem.
You surround yourself with people and then you make them and their results and even their beliefs and values into your standards. And I think that's one of the worst things we can do is make other people into our standard. Because other people are coming from a different place, they have a different past, but they also have a different future. You don't want to make someone else your standard. You want to choose your own standards. And that's a key is your standard should be intrinsic.
You are the general that is in charge of your life. In charge of the war of your life. Some people talk about being the CEO of your life. I'm telling you, you are the general of your life. Because it's a war. It's a war going on. The battle that's going on in your life to be stronger and smarter and faster and better. So that means as the general, you're the one who decides what you do and how you're gonna do it. You come up with a strategy. It's on you. You create the tactics. You, as the general in charge, you make the plan and you give the orders to the troops. That's what you do. You direct them because you are the general.
You cannot compromise your standards for nobody. Nobody. That includes your spouse, your friends, your family, nobody. There's a difference between loving somebody and compromising your standards. Those are two different. I love a lot of people, and I'm not compromising my standards for people I love. You cannot be doing that because only you know how big your dreams are. Only you know what life you want to build, and only you know who you want to be. Compromising your standards, one of the biggest fatal mistakes any man or human being can make.
We build habits, rituals, and disciplines that serve us, okay? Now, part of those habits, rituals, and disciplines have sort of turned me into a more confident person. There's no question about that. So my standards are mandatory because you get your standards, right? So the reason my standards are set so high is because I don't want to leave it up to my own devices, right? My standard is 1 more minute on the treadmill. My standard is 1 more person I could reach that day, 1 more phone call, 1 more something. And so for me, I raise them every single year, but the way I get to do it is I link it to my reasons. And so goals are really empty to me. I have a thing on goal setting, but like my big thing is that you show me someone with compelling, emotional, gigantic reasons, I'll show you someone who's changing their standards all day long.
The way that you really raise your standards comes down to your daily rituals. So, the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. Well, another definition of insanity is setting goals and expecting to reach them without thoroughly changing your behaviors. So that means that your rituals need to change dramatically. It's not how can I tweak things a little bit. You gotta think about it as a whole, with a whole new frame of mind and a new mentality.
Hold yourself to a higher standard. Make excuses for the shortcomings of others if you wish, but hold yourself to a strict accountability. The great leaders of our society, both in our past and present, and in the future, are all people who are extremely accountable. They find it unacceptable to blame anyone else for whatever their shortcomings or problems are. They are the people who want to be held accountable, and as such are the real leaders.
Your standard and your commitment are the same thing, because if it's not a true commitment, then it's not a true standard. We all have standards. You have a standard, I have a standard. You have a standard for how you spend your time. I have a standard for how I spend my time. You have a standard for the kind of food you put in your body. You have a standard for basically, who your friends are, the type of information you consume. We all have standards, and that standard, the true standard, is our identity, because our identity is that which we're most committed to. The process of raising your floor or raising your standard is actually the deepest work you can do.
I would rather you set your sights not on the moon, but on the stars, because in the process of shooting for the stars, you will hit the moon, guaranteed. But in the process of shooting for the moon, you might completely miss it and hit nothing, right? So the most damaging thing you can do in life is to set low standards and then to achieve those low standards. Set yourself some high standards, like raise your expectations. Don't just go, I'm gonna make enough money where I'm set.
We don't rise to the standards we have when others are watching. We fall to the standards we have when no one is watching. The only work that really matters is the work that no one sees. It shows you who you really are rather than who you say you are.
If you look in your life right now, everything and everyone is reflected by your standards. And sometimes you establish this standards a long time ago, maybe when you were a little child, just by looking at your parents, by looking at other people, what they're doing, and you agreed on, oh right, unconsciously, right? So, all right, so these are my standards. And now this is how you function. And sometimes you complain that there's maybe some people in your life that you don't like, maybe you have a job you don't like, maybe you eat something you don't like, I don't know, but maybe your health is not as good as you would like. But all these different areas are reflected according to standards, because setting a high standard will completely change everything in your life.
I think most people feel really lonely when you want something that doesn't currently exist. And so some people call that dreams, some people call that goals, whatever it is. You're trying to pull something from your mind into reality, and you want it done a certain way, and if it's not done that way, it's not what you imagined. And so people on the outside will throw stones and call you names that they think will change your behavior and get you to stop. And the more I have been the person trying to pull things into reality, the more I've tried to weather and build kind of defenses against those things, so that when those stones get hurled at you by being called a control freak, or by saying you micromanage things, or that you have incredibly high standards, the answer is yes, because I want it done right the first time.
You want to see an area that'll have a big impact on the quality of your life? Is the quality of the standard you set for yourself. Now, a lot of the time we set standards for other people that are higher than the standards we set for ourselves. So what about our own levels of standards? Which areas do we want to look at? Health is obviously a big example. You see, the key, guys, is understanding this. How you do anything is how you do everything. If you cheat yourself out of the discipline to stay healthy, you will cheat yourself out of the discipline in many other areas. If you find a way to cheat your business partner, you'll find a way to cheat your emotional partner. If you find a way to press the snooze button in the morning, you'll find an excuse to not show up on time for other things in your life. And raising your standards is a big part of being able to set yourself the benchmark. And here's the funny thing about life. If you refuse to accept anything but the best, you very often get the best. If you allow yourself to settle for less than what you are worth, you'll often get less than what you're worth. See, again, it's not an outer world thing. It's an inner world thing.
You've got to see yourself there in your mind. And if you're seeing yourself in struggle in your mind, you're going to manifest it externally in your life. It's not just going to be all of a sudden easy times, money's not going to fly from the sky and just fall in your lap. If you're in struggle in your mind, you're going to create struggle in your physical manifestations as well. Maybe you're creating some results, but it's just harder. Maybe some opportunities come to you, but it feels like you had to work so hard to make it happen. As opposed to shifting the mindset and the narrative in your mind first, saying something like, opportunities flow to me effortlessly and abundantly. People want to be around me who have opportunities, and they want to see me succeed. If you start shifting your self-talk into more empowering messages, more empowering beliefs, even if you don't fully believe it right now, it's okay. But when you start to speak negatively about yourself constantly, why it's so hard, you're going to confirm that because your life doesn't want to be wrong about what you're saying.
When you start to connect to your true nature, suddenly there's energy available for you to set a higher standard for what you want in your life. That's what this is really all about. And when I talk about standards, when I talk about, shoulds versus musts, think about your own life. I know there have been areas in your life where some point in time you just shifted and you raised the standard and your life changed.
What does it mean to be accountable? It means that whatever the result that you and others are expecting, if it doesn't happen, you look in the mirror and you look within yourself for the answers first, instead of blaming others.